Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. You are listening to or watching, tuning into a special edition of Java After Dark in collaboration with ABCD Health Services. Do me a favor, hit that like and share button. I was told by somebody today I need to do that a little bit more. And though our likes and shares are up a lot in the last week or so, we are sharing information this evening. You all know it's cuffing season. It's been cuffing season since about September, October, and we are sort of in our last iteration, if you will, of the cuffing season piece of this. You'll hear more about hot boy and hot girl summer as the weather gets warmer, but Valentine's Day is coming, and a lot of us in cuffing season may have had to have some interesting conversations about our health. And so tonight we're going to further our cuffing season conversations. We have who I'm calling sort of my staple co-host with me in this space, nurse practitioner Maureen Scott. I think it's important right now to raise these wonderful women who have achieved greatness in the medical field and our public health accurate information experts. And so we are so glad to have both of them there. And so I'm going to bring Maureen in last because she is our sort of co-host. And we have a new guest this evening. And this is also a nurse practitioner as well. And this is now, you all know me. I'm old school. And I'm inclined to call Jane Tuitt, nurse practitioner, Jane Tuitt, Miss, but I want to honor the fact that some people may not understand our culture and the miss is just implied. So Jane, welcome to the Java Cafe.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here this evening. And I'm going to bring in next our sort of co-host and nurse practitioner also, Maureen Scott. And so I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. If y'all have watched, and Miss Jane, by the way you sip, I know if there's a moment tonight that's interesting, we got that in common because we just take a sip when we make a point.
Java with Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here for it. And so Maureen, we work through the text. Sometimes Maureen computer just has her popping in and out. So we're just naming that. But it is important tonight that first, Jane, if I could ask you, if you could just greet the audience. And when people are in for the first time, I ask them to tell just a little bit about their journey and how you landed in a place of being someone in the medical field achieving what you've achieved with in the medical field. So I understand the credentials, achieving them, and why you are in this public health space. And we'll talk about the importance of having this conversation after that. But please say good evening to the audience, and also tell us a little bit about a 90-second version, if you can, of your journey.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Jimmy and Maureen. I have been a nurse for many years before I went back to nurse practitioner school. So I probably was a nurse about 8 years. Then I decided, oh, let me go and do something a little bit more. So I had worked in the old Boston City Hospital. I worked labor and delivery. I did medical at a hospital out in the suburbs, but I really liked working in the community. And then I got a chance to work in the community. I worked at several health centers around Dorchester, Mattapan, and then I did do some hospital work too. But I really like working with the community. So people that can relate to me and I can relate to them. So I went back to school, got the nurse practitioner, women's health, and was primarily working with women and young girls. And then I got an opportunity to work in a school-based health center. So that was something new for me, because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to just be working with women and girls. I'm going to be working with, the young boys, the men, in the community. So I got a chance to do that, and I loved it. I was like, oh, this is great. I get to talk to everybody. So I've been doing that for many a year. I've been at Tech Boston. I started when it was Dorchester High School, and now it's been Tech the last several years. But we have changed administrations, principals over the years, but the community pretty much has stayed the same,
I am glad to have you here with us, and it is I'm familiar with when it was Dorchester High, and now it's Tech Boston, and so that the school-based health centers are something that we've been promoting and discussing. And so, shameless plug, but we are in cuffing season, and so you'll see that hashtag. We'll share the link. Make sure you have the information to get the information you need. And at some point tonight, Maureen, we're going to show that little wonderful commercial we just created. And so, Jane, we're going to come back to you in a second, really get into the conversation. But Maureen, if you could just say hello again and give us a quick of who you are, because you're becoming a vet here in the Java After Dark space. Welcome again.
Oh, thanks. I'm Maureen Scott. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner. And Jane and I's career kind of, we're kind of, as far as being, doing what we were doing. I was a nurse for many years, and then had the opportunity to become a nurse practitioner through a program that was through an OBGYN program in Philadelphia. And much of that was due to Jane's pushing and prodding me every time she saw me to tell me about the program. So, thank you. Jane and I also worked back at City Hospital. I was on the high-risk maternity floor. Then my career went as a women's health nurse practitioner. I did a lot of OBGYN, GYN work, working with adolescents, infertility. And then again, went to the school-based health centers. That was majority of my career, like about 20 years. And then I retired somewhat. And Jane asked me about the STI clinic. So I was there for a while. And then I ended up at ABCD doing this health services and being on the other side of what I was doing, which is great because I understand what the patients need, what the providers need for, funding. And so it's a great place to be, because having been on the ground doing the work, I know what is needed and I'm in a position to help them succeed. So I do enjoy my work. And ABCD was my first job. 14 years old and 15 years old as a junior counselor. And I'm hoping it's going to be my last.
Listen, we all had, and Jane, I have to ask everybody this, at least 85% of my guests in the ABCD world, outside the ABCD world, elected officials, nonprofit leaders, all of us were SummerWorks. Were you SummerWorks?
Yes, years ago. Yes.
Anyway, stay tuned, folks, because in a few months we will be mentioning some of the information that you need about SummerWorks. And so it's just so amazing that a lot of people in Boston came through. A lot of people, you just have not been untouched by ABCD. And so let's get ready to get into our topic. And there are a few things that we're going to discuss tonight. And I'll be very honest, with these wonderful 8,000 screens that are open, I want to make sure that I am clear. But as I'm doing that, Jane, if you don't mind, in your years of expertise, can you tell us how important it is? And I'll ask if, where you both want to be transparent, this conversation about our health history with our partner, have you had to have the conversation? And if so, why was it important for you? And then why is it important that we have this conversation? When you finish, I'll come back and let the folks know a few areas. We're going to talk about the conversation and some elements that will keep you better informed about the conversation. So Jane, your perspective on the conversation.
Well, being in the public health field and experiencing a lot of things with my patients and seeing things firsthand, of course, I was aware that, yeah, this is something definitely everybody should be aware and discuss with their partners and things like that. So I think I was probably more on it because of just the field I'm in.
And then Maureen, your perspective on this as well, as far as the importance and relevance of having that conversation, and where you can share too, is if you ever had to have the conversation, because some people may be concerned, and that's one of the reasons that we're here tonight, because some history, if folks are being fully transparent, some history may reveal some things. Let maybe frame it like that.
Right. Well, yeah, I think we've all had that experience in some respect. I think it does make a difference when you're in the health care field that you see things and and you're more protective of your own self, of your own health. So yeah, I have had the conversations, and I think during the 90s, more so 80s, 90s, because we won't even talk about the 70s, you know, with the things that was going on in the things that were going on in the world with HIV coming out, it made you even more to do your due diligence to have those conversations, because now you're learning more. We were taking care of patients with HIV, and we didn't know they had HIV in the hospital. So when that came out, then it was kind of like, oh, hey, let's be more careful. Easier said than done.
Yep. And we're going to go into some of the challenges. We're going to talk about, we're not just going to name the challenges, but we're going to give you some tips about what you can do. We're also going to talk about your current status, HSV, what if I have herpes? And also, we are going to also, of course, give you resources and, partner notification and things like that. So we're going to have that conversation. Maureen, to your point, and I'll pick up with you here. You mentioned the 70s. I was in the early 70s, so I wasn't a part, but there was that big love movement, free love. Back in the day, we now call them STIs, but back in the day, it was called VD. And I already mentioned to y'all that for some reason, Maureen's computer just don't like StreamYard. And so you might see that happen a little bit. And so we understand, then we were saying sexually transmitted diseases. Then it's now sexually transmitted infections. And along with also HIV. And so, Maureen, let me ask you, you talk about it could be awkward. You talk about the challenges. You touched on it a little bit, but what is the awkwardness of having the awkwardness versus the importance? How does someone maybe handle that awkwardness? Because sitting down, and let's name, there are various type of relationships. There are, committed, maybe one-on-one, no judgment here about your types of relationship. We just want to make sure whatever your type is, that you are cuffing safely. So Maureen, the awkwardness when you're cuffed and you want to have that convo.
Well, it's a conversation that you ask yourself, am I having it too soon? When you start to date, when you start to, get into a relationship, it may be on one or the other's mind. Someone may be thinking, well, I have to get to know you better, but just bringing it up is very awkward. You usually feel embarrassed. But the thing is, most people will feel embarrassed. But if you really are transparent with your partner and you're really into this person, then having that conversation is really important. Many people feel like they may be coerced into having sex without a condom if they don't bring it up. You may have already had sex without a condom, and now you want to change your mind. That's awkward. Your partner may push back. You may bring up the conversation about using a condom and being safe, and you may get ghosted. So there's a lot of things on your mind when you're thinking about talking about sex.
I think that is important. And Jane, you as well, we'll talk about maybe some things that people can do. Let's also name that my experts are both women. And though I went and took advantage of ABCD's resources, I went all the way up to taking the family planning test and never got certified. That was some years ago. So we are naming that. I will do my best, but please understand, brothers that may be watching, that these are both medical professionals that have the expertise and accurate information for you. And so I just wanted to name that, or ask Jane, can you tell us, and maybe if you can speak to, if you don't mind, a perspective of men that maybe they can approach, some tips, some ways that, because no, never mind. Because I was going to say some things about, anyway, men may not talk as easily. Maybe I can frame it like that. And so what are some tips that men can do to approach this? Because I believe a woman would appreciate a proactive man in sharing their health history in this space.
Yeah, sure. So just choosing the right time, and making sure the mood is relaxed, and that person is also in the mood to speak with you about an intimate situation. Having the conversation once you feel comfortable in the relationship too, like Maureen already said, don't rush it. Don't do it too quickly when it's not time yet. So it's just timing and how you feel with that person, that you feel, okay, we're at a level of intimacy now, so maybe it's a good time to talk about it, and express a desire to be open and honest, and talking about both of your health. Like, you would like to be healthy, and hopefully they would also want to be healthy, and having this conversation hopefully would keep both of you that way.
One of the other things I just want to say, and I'm being a little joking here, but if a man approaches a woman and say, you talked about, in the mood, in the right mood, that conversation start, the first thing that the woman's going to think, you say in the mood, and we talk, no, I'm just messing a little bit, but because it's a serious subject that honestly, and we're going to get into it. And we're getting ready to update for those of you that are familiar. We have had the cuffing season campaign, but I'll bring those up in a second. But we're going to do a little drop. I'm just going to share some numbers with you all. The campaign has been designed around the numbers from 22. My understanding is that Maureen has the numbers from 23, and they're going to look very interesting. And so, Jay, may I ask you to start this segment here? You talked about the tips and what you can do. But one of the points of the conversation that is encouraged, and I recently found out 90%, I don't know what the current number is, but my familiarity is up to 90% of Americans can possibly test positive around herpes. There are different symptoms and things like that. And so if I can ask if you can talk about that, you give us some points on that herpes piece as well. We got Maureen back. And so the herpes are HSV. Can you talk to us about that, Jane?
Yeah, so it's always a good idea to inform your new partners that that if you're positive for HSV, that you do have a conversation prior to sex would be the best situation. And then they'll have questions about possibility of transmission. So just be ready to answer a lot of questions. Hopefully you're well informed. And before you inform like I said, make sure you know how to avoid giving this your diagnosis to them. So like say, okay, I just can't have sex during this time. You just have to really spell it out so people understand that, okay, this is something that the person has, but we can still have a relationship. It's just going to have some, there's going to be some boundaries, some rules to it.
Absolutely. Maureen's going to come in as well. One of the things that you named, Jane, and this is just a thought of mine in ABCD, if not has, is connected to, you had talked a little bit about, I don't know what the term was, but, Maureen had mentioned ghosting and things like that. But some of our society and some folks are dealing with issues of domestic, intimate partner violence. And even with sometimes that diagnosis, some people may not have the option of that weight. And so we'll share some resources. It was a thought in real time. And so we'll share resources at the end of the show. So Jane, thank you so much for naming that. Maureen, if you don't mind, and come in and share and go further, herpes is one of those, full transparency. We're in this space. It's after dark. I've had a cold sore. Some people, Jane, you might have to pop in and help here. I think is it right that we're all born with simplex 1 or something? Y'all
No,
correct?
we're not
all.
Okay, so let's
we're not all born with it.
A lot of people are positive for it though.
And not know it. And so there's simplexes. I think the cold sore is 10. And so educate us, Maureen, please, because that's a hot one.
Well, is HSV1, HSV2. The most common one is the cold sore, of course. But you can also have HSV1 in the genital area as well.
Okay.
And even though, no, we're not all born with it, a lot of people have it. And a lot of people have been exposed. They have the HSV infection, but they don't know that they have it. They may never, I won't say they never have symptoms. I can say that they don't know that they had a symptom. They might have noticed this little, and maybe they don't have it frequent enough to really pay attention to it. Most people that know have had this first initial outbreak, which is pretty horrendous for some. And if you treat it, if you get the medication and kind of cut it, shorten the episode, that first episode, then that can kind of tell the tale for the rest of the episodes that you have in life. But a lot of people that, when they hear about it, like on TV shows, like they might have it on an episode, and then all of a sudden you start getting everybody calling you. They want, well, I know there's a blood test for herpes, and I want to know if I have it. Okay, once you know you have it, and the CDC, by the way, does not recommend getting the blood test if you don't have symptoms, just to get the blood test. Once you know, what are you going to do now? How's it going to change your life? Well, yeah, when you move on and you have a new partner, it is good to mention that you have a positive serology for HSV, because there is a possibility of shedding it without knowing that you're shedding the virus.
Even if you don't have an active.
Exactly. Even if you don't have an active lesion.
Flare up or lesion.
And if you have an active lesion, that's a definite no-no. That's definite no-no not to have sexual relations or any intimacy of skin to skin. But you can shed the virus. And
when you say shed, clarify for me what that means, because when I hear shed, it means to take it off and it's gone. When you say shed, you mean it on to
well, think of a dog shedding hair.
But that hair goes everywhere.
But that's when it's transmissible. When they're shedding the virus, that's when it's transmissible. When you're not shedding the virus, you can't transmit it to anyone. And what I find with herpes, that first outbreak is the worst. It's very painful, and people, believe me, would not have sex at that time. But other outbreaks after the initial may be very mild, or they may go months and don't have you might have less outbreaks as you go on. So that's one thing I've noticed. The longer people have been diagnosed with herpes, they may have less outbreaks. They might not see as many as they did, especially in the beginning. It's so painful.
When you talk about outbreaks, those herpes can be stress induced. Outbreaks can be induced by stress, correct? a lot of diseases, but that one is known because of the hormone or chemical that's released. Sometimes when you're stressed out, it activates. I don't remember the name of the gene, but stress is associated with the breakout. Am I right?
Stress is associated.
It can be.
Okay. And you may just be going on with your life and have an outbreak and don't know why. The best thing you can do is learn as much as you can about herpes. If you have the infection, and this is a lifelong thing, there is no cure.
I was going to ask because back in the day,
you will see on TikTok, you will see on Instagram these holistic healers and take this tea and it goes away. There's one person, I don't know, it comes on, drives me crazy when I hear it. And I'm typing away in there. That's not right. That's wrong.
Accurate information, public health accurate information is important. So we gotta have accurate, and that's why we're here. Yeah. I want to deviate for a second, kind of in the same family, to HPV. Mm-hmm. HPV is another one of those that, and Maureen, just close out that point. Back in the day, I used to hear the older brothers talk around and whatnot, and they would be like, yo, that's something you're going to carry around like luggage for the rest of your life. So there is, you know how the old uncles and stuff used to talk back in the day. Not my uncles. I'm not trying to get nobody in trouble. So HPV is another one of those that it's the human papilloma virus. In my early years, there was not if I understand how this is used, a vaccination to, if you have not been exposed yet, you can be inoculated. You can get a vaccination that decreases, if I'm right, if you are exposed, it decreases you getting HPV. Am I correct?
You're correct. The HPV vaccine, they recommend it between age, 9 and 11. So, you get it fairly early, which was the struggle of trying to get parents to give their kids early on. Jane and I both know, because when it first came out, we were given this injection in the high schools, and talking to the parents to encourage them to give their child a vaccine that can prevent cancer. That's the biggest concern with HPV, because of the HPV related cancers.
In the cervical cancer and all that, yes.
So Jane, let's break this down. Okay, the reason the HPV vaccine is ultimately can prevent cancer is HPV untreated, if I am correct, can cause squamous, can make you have an abnormal pap smear.
Right. So that's the squamous epithelium. And then you can also have anal cancer. You can have throat cancer. You can have cervical cancer, all from HPV.
And
all from HPV. Yes. Yes.
And hey, HPV is one of those. Now, there are some, let's just also name some STIs and STDs will never have any symptoms. My understanding with HPV is an indicator can be little small white bumps in some areas.
Warts.
But okay, so let's let genital warts, mouth. We just talked about herpes. If you have warts that come from HPV, if you're having any sort of breakout, you need to see your physician, because you want to determine how you need to be treated. And if I'm correct, there is a different treatment for HPV. Well, let me ask, is there a treatment for HPV? And does it carry and stay with you like herpes does?
It's a virus.
It's a virus.
But they have found that some HPV, some strains, will go away on their own.
But are you still susceptible?
Has changed the guidelines for pap smears. Having HPV does not always mean you're going to get cancer, and that's where the vaccine comes in. So before, it used to be to a certain age, I think 26. Now they recommend it. That it can, a conversation with your doctor, 26 to 45.
I was gonna say it's up in the 40s now.
Hold on. Let me one of y'all clarify for me about this 26 to 45, because that was a very active population when I told them that I was, well, never mind. Over 45 was upset because they couldn't come to the mix that night, Maureen. So clarify for me what you mean about the regulations of what was that the vaccine that you was giving clarity to?
because so many people have it, they most likely have been infected already. The insurance companies really aren't going to pay past a certain age, but it's a conversation. It's a shared conversation with your physician, your clinician, because you may have been infected with many strains of HPV, but not the cancer causing one. So is it still a benefit?
Strains of HPV?
Oh, there's lots.
Hundreds of strains. And we zero in on the specific ones. The HPV vaccine zeroes on the specific ones that cause cancer. You may have been infected, but you may not have been infected with the cancer causing one. So is it a benefit to you? That's also based on your life, your sex life, your partners. Are you monogamous with one partner? You may not choose to go that route. Do you have multiple partners? It may be to your benefit to get that HPV vaccine. So it's a conversation to have with yourself and your clinician.
Even if you have,
I used to ask all patients in the STI clinic if they had the HPV vaccine.
Okay. So it's not just, it's more, if I understand the risk, the benefits outweigh the risk that you do it at a younger age. Let's just name that some parents, and you all can tell me, y'all are in the field, but as a former youth worker and just considering that I need to have my child inoculated early, because let's just name that gives consideration to the fact that there may be an earlier onset of sexual activity than what we anticipate. And if there's recommendations that are 9 to 10, I know that that's going to put some parents in a space, but do you all agree that the benefits outweigh the risk of being proactive with that? And well, never mind. So, there is proven science that vaccine like the HPV one and others have proven to be effective. James is saying that none of them go without side effects of anyone. That's why it's important that people that look like us, when opportunities are presented to participate in clinical trials. Okay, don't want to get off there, but let's. So that's James. Getting back to the point, with all of this that we talked about, and we might have to come back and really do a different. We're glad to say that our cuffing season is going to transition into hot boy, hot girl, summer, whatever. But we may just need to come and have an update on STIs. That may need to be one of the shows, STIs 101. And so with all that we talked about, now we've learned, we know what strain of HPV we may have been exposed to. We may have had a breakout with herpes. We may have, and let's just name a few of the others: chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, the old one, and I got to remember the correct medical term, trichomonas.
Trichomoniasis. Sometimes we just call it trick.
Right.
Back in the day, we called it trick. And one, if we can distinguish, those are determined, I believe, all of them as sexually transmitted infections. HIV, however, that's the oh God, I forgot. Don't tell me what Jane was like. I'm gonna tell human. Oh, it's been some virus. All right, tell me, Maureen and Jane.
Human immune deficiency virus. Immune deficiency. That's what it's called.
Deficiency. That the I in the deficiency was why I couldn't remember. The D was throwing me off. It's not a separate word. It's all one word. Human immune deficiency virus. And so that is a virus and not an infection. And similar to herpes and whatnot, with a different impact, that is, it stays with you for life. Let's just also name, back to the reference of Magic Johnson, there was a time where some viewed that as a death sentence. Let's just be honest. This is James saying this. And there are now treatments that have morphed from 10, 12 pills for treatment and all that other stuff. There is now a point where HIV doesn't mean, and we're getting to the partner notification, because some partners may need to tell their partners that they're HIV positive and have been living with something that now medical science has got us to a point where there is a status of you, and you means, and it's not for y'all to, for folks to go out there, you reach your you status and just, well, anyway, medicine has transpired. But as we get into the partner notification, James is just saying that if that partner notification is also HIV and we learn STIs and HIV, that we're going to talk about how you talk to your partner in general. But if HIV is a part of it, that you can, there's Jesus Lord PrEP. There's now Doxy PrEP and things like that. Don't forget the good old school, y'all. And they're in the kiosk out there, shameless plug. And if y'all don't mind, I'm going to give my guest just a quick little second break. And you can get 24/7 information at the kiosk, sponsored by ABCD Health Services, at the following addresses: 110 Claiborne Street in Dorchester,
or 565 Warren Street in Roxbury,
or 714 Parker Street in Roxbury.
Make sure you know 24/7 you can get the information to make sure that you cuff safely. So I just wanted to we did a whole commercial. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about that.
Perfect.
Is that a blooper?
That wasn't a blooper. I actually left that in there, and I forgot to just let
That was good. That was good.
That there. So, you know, that the condoms, old school, those are available, testing kits at the kiosk. And so let's talk about partner notification. One of the ways that you can notify your partner is go to those kiosks and get tested, but you can also work with prevention around condoms and some other items at the kiosk. So I just have to put that there. Okay. I went and did what I needed to do. I've done my research. I've got my test. Ideally, I have done my best to be preventative in my sexual health and will not need to tell my partner anything negative around my health history. That ain't the case with everybody. How and do you approach a partner from your advice? And again, naming what we named earlier about, you know, intimate partner violence, and a lot of dynamics for a lot of people come up. It's not just that simple. Let's just name, we are talking generally if you are in what you perceive as healthy relationship or ships. So I think I started with Maureen earlier. Jane, how do we begin to talk to our partner? If it is, now, ideally, it's easy. Yo, babe, I'm good. Now, if it's not easy, well,
Okay.
babe, I need to tell you something.
So be prepared, because, you know, everybody's not going to take information the same way. And there may be, you know, a negative outburst, or and you kind of know your partners pretty much. You kind of know the ones that may act a certain way. So definitely tell them on a time when they're probably the most calm and you're calm, and you can have this conversation. If you feel like it's going to be violent, then there is partner notification that can be done. Somebody can notify them anonymously from the state, and they don't give your name. They just say, your name was given to us. You've had contact in the last 3 months with someone who has tested positive for XYZ. You need to go get yourself tested. And so your name is not involved in that, especially if people don't feel safe. I would not push them to give that kind of information if they feel there's some violence might happen.
Now, let's just name on the receiving call end, if you're under the impression that it's just you and them, you're automatically going to be like, wait, well, I'm only been. So let's just, you know, that is a factor that plays into it as well. Maureen, can you contribute here about having, you know, the conversation isn't easy for everybody.
When you tell someone, sometimes their first reaction many times is, well, where'd you get it from? Or should I get tested? Yeah, get tested, but don't let that be the thing that's going to keep you from getting treated. If you're a positive for an STI, you have the opportunity to get what's called expedited partner therapy, meaning your clinician can actually give you the medication or give you a prescription that says that EPT on the prescription. Sometimes they'll put the name, but usually it's anonymous, and the pharmacies will honor that.
Oh, wait a minute, clarity. So I'm hearing clarity there. EPT is not without you, or maybe it is. Clarify for me. if it's EPT, does that mean that I don't have to get tested? There's presumption that I've been enough.
No, it doesn't mean you don't have to get tested.
Okay.
And the thing is that if you take the medication right away, it may change the result, of course, if you get tested after you've completed with the therapy.
Right.
The first thing you want to do is if you come up with positive chlamydia and you tell your partner, then you want to make sure that your partner gets tested for everything. So they should get tested anyway. But they do have the opportunity. There are people that don't want to go and get tested, or they don't want to go to the pharmacy, or there's embarrassment. Or if you're just taking care of your partner, you can, ask for the medication. This is what we do. We provide medication. Also, we provide information about the infection, and also information how to take the medication, about warning signs, allergies, all of that stuff. We don't just hand out medication to anybody, whoever, because they may have an allergy they don't know about.
Thank you.
But EPT is available, and it's totally legal in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yes, amen.
Amen. And we are glad that it's available in Massachusetts.
Yeah. And try not to get in the blaming game. If you're positive, the first thing you're going to think is she had this and didn't tell me. Many times, especially with chlamydia, they didn't know. Because not too many people that are going to have chlamydia and know they have chlamydia and willingly go and give it to you. Does happen, but that's not usually what happens.
But if nobody's been tested prior to sex, you pointing fingers at each other, you don't know who brought it into the relationship. Somebody tested positive, so both of y'all just need to be treated. And that's how I talk to the patients. Like, okay, it doesn't, it's not going to change the price of anything here. You positive, that person needs to be treated. And I'm not sure how. If you're one of my patients and I have tested you recently, I could say, okay, I did a test on you in November, you were negative, so you definitely got infected over this time. But if we have not seen you and haven't done prior testing, God only know, we don't know who brought it in. That's why it's important to be tested. And similar to the anonymous piece, I just want to go in and make sure that you all understand that there is information available to you around the kiosk. Is free. You can get 24/7 information at the kiosk, sponsored by ABCD Health Services, at the following addresses: 110 Claiborne Street in Dorchester,
or 565 Warren Street in Roxbury,
or 714 Parker Street in Roxbury.
Make sure 24/7 you can get the information to make sure that you cuff safely. We did a whole commercial.
Perfect. That was fabulous.
Really important for everyone to know. All kinds of free stuff in there. It's open 24/7. They're all lit, so even if it's nighttime, it's safe. So definitely check it out.
So that is our commercial, shameless plug for cuffing season, but you can get the test there. That is another way, I believe. It's confidential, so obviously that is anonymous. And so, there are so many things that ABC does to ensure, never mind. Good resources, very good resources.
Yeah, we also provide resources at the kiosk on where to go in your community.
Right. Where you can go right now, and I'm actually going to hyperlink it in the comments for those that are watching Instagram. I'm going to try, but for those that are on Facebook, I'm going to put it in the comments, so it's a hyperlink right there where you can hyperlink and you can get the cuffing information you need. You can also find out the 13 partner network partners, and also the school-based health centers, of which Jane is a part at. Oh Jesus, I'm telling my age. Boston Tech, not Boston Tech.
Tech Boston.
Boston Tech is so many moons ago. And so, but the hyperlink is in the comments for those of you that are in here. And Diana, good morning to say good morning. Good evening to you. I just wanted to also say some of our mothers and our seniors are in here. And Maureen, I haven't fully looked at the 23 numbers yet, but y'all remember in the post that I've been putting up since October, those numbers with our elders 65 and up, y'all.
Oh.
So
Good.
But they were also using the kiosk.
the elders,
Yes,
Yeah,
the numbers
the
aren't that
elders.
high, but they were, yeah, the condoms, most definitely.
Everything is free, so hey, take advantage. That's what I say.
so what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to wrap up, and what we're going to do is what I did with, I think, Elisa and Priscilla. We're going to put y'all, we're going to do some sort of full screen commercial now. So y'all talk off style, off free. No. Anyway, Jamie would get me. I'm going to tell you, there are people in the background at ABCD that make sure we make this happen. They handle logistics. They help with getting the briefing together, and got to shout out Sharon and Lee and Jen, the folks in the IT space. And Jamie is one of them. And we have a private chat here on our thing, and Jamie is in there acting up. And yes, Jamie, I called you out, because if y'all look at it, Jane, don't look at the private chat and see what Jamie wrote in there. You're going to fall out if you do.
Oh, okay.
Is that a response that is a possible response?
Like that. Okay.
That's a possible. She gave a possible response. Do you want me to read it, Jamie?
Oh, so
you-
Jamie, Maureen, thank you for the clarity that Jamie was
That's
giving
what
the
that
potential response of someone else. That wasn't her saying. Thank you. And all that get an understanding. Thank you, Maureen, because
That's because we've heard it all. You can have a person in the next room, right? Seeing a couple, one's waiting in the next room, and one is saying, if she has herpes, we're not together. And then when you go see her, she's like, well, we're planning on getting married. So you're hearing both sides of the story. And you can't repeat anything like, well, I don't want to be with him if he has ABCD.
no
And
pun intended.
one
Maureen, don't say that.
I don't judge him for the past. We move forward, but they may be saying one thing together, but when you get him in the room alone,
Maureen,
your feelings come out, and it's being human. It's totally,
it's real. But Maureen,
no judgment.
ABCD is not the good analogy example in this case. ABCD, no. Y'all didn't realize
I didn't even catch that.
I guarantee you that after this show, we all get, well, me and you, well, probably you will get a text.
We're gonna get yelled at
because you said, well, ABC, and I'm
I
sitting
should have said XYZ. That's what I meant to say.
I'm missing because this is a very serious subject, and for a lot of people, let's just name, we were intentional about tonight, and I've been saying it on the show, and you all tell me if I'm wrong. More than likely, if you were celebrating Friday, on Thursday or Saturday, you more than Jay knows where I'm going. If you're celebrating Friday, Valentine's Day, this is a Valentine's Day special edition. Let's bring it home. If you're celebrating Valentine's Day on Thursday or on Saturday, and this isn't discussed, and you ain't got no concerns, and it's just not the schedule, and y'all are, conversation, but all of a sudden Friday gets canceled. Can we do it Thursday? Or at last minute, I need to cancel Friday. We're going to get together tomorrow night. There is some potential that you may not be the only one. So you may need to have that partner conversation. Go ahead, Jane. Get in this. Yes. This field.
Yes. So the conversation need to be had. It's a healthy conversation. To be honest, is a good policy. Then, no one can come back and say, oh, you didn't tell me. Yes.
Hold on. That should have been a commercial. Say it again, Jane.
You can't say, oh, you didn't tell me. Yes, I did. We had that conversation.
That wasn't long enough for the commercial. And Dag, where did
this is a commercial? Wait a minute, this is a commercial now?
We was getting ready to do it, but I ain't gonna mess with you.
Oh God. I didn't know he's doing no commercial.
Start on an even playing field. Get tested together. That's the best thing. Go in there together and get
conversation
tested.
Because if you go tested together, you need to be prepared for not only their results, you need to be prepared for yours. If you can't unequivocally say that you have always, and let's be clear, it's safer sex.
Exactly. Transparency.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just remind people where they can. The comments. Oh Jesus. Some senior disabled apartment buildings are like Peyton's. Who is Peyton?
Peyton Place. You don't know Peyton Place? Oh, you young.
Peyton Place. Yeah, that was before your time.
Peyton Place is like it's like an old school soap opera. It was a movie with a lot of drama, a lot of sex, a lot of craziness. Yeah.
It was a soap opera for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And now the church mothers are going in. Okay. My mother said the school them seniors. Lord. Okay. So thank you. Cause it didn't go beyond me, Jane, that you said I'm young. Thank you.
That's a show, Jimmy.
Peyton's Place?
The seniors. That's a whole show there.
Oh, that's the whole show because you said some of the brothers in the nursing home done seen you a couple of times with the same diagnosis.
Repeated diagnosis.
The only thing about the seniors, they're not worried about pregnancy anymore, so they're more free to like say, okay, let's do this thing, right? But you got to worry about the STIs and those things, So
yeah, and many seniors. I mean, they may have had a partner for a long time and just one partner, and now they're out in the world and they are meeting new people, and a lot of people have gone through life without getting an STI. Not everybody gets one.
But see, that's the thing that for me, for our seniors, is just mind baffling that you are 65, 70 years old being diagnosed with an STI and also HIV, potentially HIV. So seniors, and to your point, we got to give credit to the pace that we have some widows and widowers in here. And just because, there's snow on the roof, don't mean that the fire ain't still burning.
Mm-hmm.
There he goes.
Jimmy, what's in your Java? You got something in your Java.
Sweet tea. I made sweet tea for the Super Bowl, and it's the last little bit, so it ain't. No, it ain't that.
Oh, okay.
I just enjoy the fact that you said, what did you say? Amen or something?
I said, thank you. But some of the seniors are going with younger people too,
And they're more at risk because some of the so let's keep it 100 because you think you daddy because you 65 and got a little 30-year-old. That 30-year-old is out there. Okay, Jamie's about to. I seen the private chat pop up.
Yep, and Jane can speak to this because she's still working with the teens.
Yeah, and let's talk about the fact that it's not just our seniors. We talked about that. The young people not always. The young people do get some attention, but let's just round it out with our young people and to go like this. Grandma and grandpa, y'all need to set the example for Lil Pookie and Lisa if y'all are active and the young people, because these young people, my generation, condoms, maybe the one after me, condoms. This generation's off here and they think they get prep and they doxy prep and they all set. First of all, you got to take it consistently. Second of all, prep by itself, everybody's concerned about the prep and HIV, but that doesn't protect you from, let's keep it as simple as, let's keep it from one that we didn't talk about. We don't hear about that no more. The little critter crawlers.
We were talking about that. We don't see them as much now because we don't see like crabs. You don't see those anymore because everybody shaves. Ain't nobody got no pubic hair anymore.
We used to see them all the time, but
they cleaned all that area up. There's no hair anymore.
Look at his face.
Jamie, I didn't say that. Jane did.
Yes.
Well, y'all be doing the pap smear, so y'all know. So, all right. And in speaking of that, I want to be intentional. In HPV, we spent a lot of time on pap smears and how it will, and it's not, women need to get pap smears, yes. How does HPV demonstrate itself in men?
Well, like I told you, throat cancer. Oh, they get the warts. They can have warts on their penis. They can have it around their anus. They can have abnormal cells in the back of their throat. That's how they get the throat cancer.
And let's also just name, we going back to, oh, Jesus, y'all got me back in my family planning youth worker space. Some of these young people with strep throat, generally speaking, young people with strep throat, do you think it's strep throat? But they need to be screened for.
Well,
Yeah, they can be swabbed. They can be swabbed
They
for
can be
chlamydia and
swabbed in their
gonorrhea.
throat. We can swab them in the anus. We can swab them everywhere. So when we talk to young people, I say, where are give me the look. Where are you having sex? Is
Where
it penis? Is it penis and vagina? Is it orally? Is it anally? We have to know all the places so we can swab everything, and then we could treat you appropriately if things come back positive. And of course,
And if they don't want to divulge that, we still give them the option if they want to swab. And many times they'll say, well, I don't do that, but I'll take the swab. I'm okay with that answer too.
It's something is better than nothing, even if they're not fully divulging to you. And I want to encourage you. Two people that know all my, well, three now as a business owner, three people that know all my business, my doctor, my lawyer, and my accountant. You never want to take one of those three, especially they need to know. You don't want nothing to take your doctor by surprise. So everything, as much as you can, and where it is safe for you to, and we got to name that. And so I just want to check Instagram before we go. I'm scared to go into the comments here. They're laughing at me in my face. Okay. And someone, oh, Jesus, Lord. Even now with Cialis and Viagra, just because they are seniors doesn't mean they aren't active.
That's right.
That's right.
Carlos said, oh, Jesus. Wait a minute, Carlos, you said they need a therapist. Oh, with the therapist too. So with the doctor, with the lawyer, with the accountant, and your therapist, you need to be 100%.
You need to be honest, right?
Because why are you there?
Right.
You're not
because if you're not honest with me, I don't know how
to help you. Exactly.
To treat you.
How can I give you the tools if I don't know what's going on?
Right. Get the proper diagnosis and all that stuff. Yeah. So.
Miss Denise, thank you. This is a hot show. Okay. And my
mother. Denise.
Hi, Denise.
My mother said this is why it's Java After Dark. Okay.
I think Jimmy got some in that cup.
I don't. It's sweet. Trust me. It's sweet tea, and it's the last it's the last little bit where a little bit of the lemon then settled to the bottom, and it's just okay, me Jane. No, this is Ask Maureen. This is my energy all the time. Now, if I had coffee, it would be a little bit different. It would have been worse. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up. I thank both of you, Jane. Your key of the night is going to be thank you. This was really, really good. And we are coming back. We did just decide today that starting in March, there will be a Java After Dark with ABCD, health services, and other services. But the next health component we're going to talk about will be in April. And we'll let you guys know. We're going to have another one in June. We're going to switch it up in March and May and talk about some of the other services that ABCD offers. But Action for Boston Community Development is one of the premier, almost everybody from ABCD. And we talk about ABCD and all the elected, a lot of the elected officials and nonprofit leaders all started off as red shirts and or summer works. So we are glad to see the legacy of ABCD continuing. And don't forget, they don't just offer ABCD health services. You can reach out to ABCD and get help around heating support. You can get food pantry support. There is some, I believe, daycare support kind of attached to them, but not anymore. But we heard from Urban College a couple of weeks ago as well. And so, there is a lot that ABCD offers. But right now in this vein, we just want to let you know that, cuffing season is wrapping up. You can still go to that link. It's in the comments, Hypered. Get the information about the kiosk, get information about the 13 partner agencies of community health agencies and also school-based health centers where your young people, and I know parents, but young people, I'm talking to you. Y'all can go straight to the school-based health center with confidence and talk to these clinical providers. Having a good relationship and communication in your household and family is always good. But if you ain't there yet, you have a medical resource, school-based centers. But it's always encouraged. I'm saying this, and I believe my guests would agree, that always strive for the open relationship. But young people, sometimes it's not the case. School-based health centers is there for you, not just for this type of health, school-based health centers.
Right.
Staying well.
That's the benediction. So Jane and Maureen, thank you. Well, Maureen just out early. Maureen going to be popping back in when I get off screen. I'm going to keep hearing this.
I don't know what is my screen doing that really?
You one day and I don't know what it either. You probably have. You got a Mac or a PC?
This is the work PC.
Okay, because if it was a Mac, it could be iMessage. I don't know, but we need to. Yeah. Jamie, we need to send Maureen's computer to IT.
I'm gonna get another one. I am. This one gives me a couple of issues. So.
It did a little bit better tonight. It didn't do it.
Yeah, before I was popping all over the screen.
Yeah, now it just kept it in place. So Jane, we're gonna let you go. We do this. Jane is like, yeah, you got something in that cup. No, this is what we do in after dark. The reason it's after dark so we can be a little more free. It's not the Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. and So
I had fun. I had fun. When Maureen asked me at first, I was like, really? Oh. But then I got on here and I had fun with you guys.
I'm glad you did because we have to make this. I used the term earlier about edutainment. Came from KRS-One. We are educating, but we've had some light moments and we're entertaining. And your most entertaining moment for the night was thank you. So
and hopefully this conversation will bring you to the clinician or to the SDI clinic or just in general, just to go get a physical, just to get a checkup and make sure everything's doing what it's supposed to do.
And to the
people, if you have a school-based health center, visit them.
And let's just try to name them off the top of my head. Never mind, because I know I'm going to mess. Jamie, are you in the background? Tech Boston. Don't say you're supposed to help me. Jeremiah Burke.
Which is now the Albert D. Holland.
Yes. And Albert D. Holland, Albert D. Holland, Tech Boston.
Latin.
Academy of School.
Latin Academy.
Latin Academy.
Latin Academy.
4.
Does Charlestown still have one? Oh,
Brighton. Well, Charlestown has one, but not through Boston Public Health Commission. But they do.
Okay,
yes.
That's 4. Jamie.
Is there one in Mattapan? No.
There's Boston Community Leadership. There's BCLA.
Yep.
There's Mission. Snowden High School.
Okay.
And I said Brighton already.
I was going to pull up one of the flyers. Well, guess where you can go and get all the information that you need. JWJ, all lowercase, .info/cuff safely. That's going to change. Well, we'll have to figure out how we change it to the, we'll maybe just call it hot summer. Because to Denise's point, what does she say? I just need to make sure Carlos didn't say anything. To Denise's point, she said, what? This is a hot show.
This is a hot show.
We don't want y'all to get hot and burn. So make sure you go get tested and get the information you need. And if you did burn, tell your partner so they don't get cold with you.
And go to the kiosk and get your free condoms.
And your testing
supplies and be tested.
And they put stuff in there to make, the sex a little bit fun, lube and stuff like that too.
And there's also menstrual products in there.
Oh, what's this one talking about? Sundresses and sweatpants.
So this morning, I was telling the audience to come back, and I was saying that the winter for the men, a lot of the women sometimes enjoy seeing the men in gray sweatpants.
Really?
And if you don't know, neither what?
Because that picture, there was a picture of somebody in some gray sweatpants, right? I think I remember that. It was somebody famous.
There was a whole Facebook group. My mother, y'all didn't tell my mother yet Ma, stop asking about the gray sweatpants, please. Ma, stop.
Because they were looking at the imprint, right? In the gray. Is that what they were looking at? The gray sweatpants?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, because I'm like, wait a minute, am I lost? Okay,
you asked the question. I was telling the folks about it, and in the summer, a lot of the brothers, you see somewhere in July, the brothers will talk about this. Is my favorite time of the year because the sundresses come out. So that is the reference that Mr. Carlos is making, and somebody was supposed to tell my mother about with the gray sweatpants. Mom, please don't ever type that in the comments when I'm on screen again. Because I Jane.
Mom is a great hype person.
All right. Go ahead, Mom.
Yeah,
Do
that's
what
your
you
hype
want
man.
to do. Go ahead.
Jesus, Lord have mercy. Ma, I love you. What he say? The new link for info. Carlos, get off my screen. Here's the real link for info. Cuff safely, y'all, in your gray sweatpants and your sundresses. All right, Jane and Maureen, thank you both for being here. And we will be back with ABCD Health Services in March for a after dark and a daytime show in April, May, and June. So please look out for those. And the best way that you can keep up is follow Java with Jimmy. Also, ABCD has a Facebook page and also Instagram page, and I believe one of the other platforms as well, but we won't name that one. All right. Thank you all for being here. We'll
Thank
have a
you for
great time.
having us.
Thank you both.
I enjoyed it. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jane. And you sparked a few moments in here. You know what you're doing. Thank you. We'll have you. We'll figure out. We'll get you back one way or another. Thank
All
you.
right. I'll come back.
All
right. All
right. Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Maureen, as well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Folks, I hope you got some great information tonight, and even with the candor of Jane and Maureen and y'all in the comments, and thank Carlos and my mother and gray sweatpants, Jesus. So y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow morning for We Need to Know Wednesday at 10 a.m. here in the Java Cafe. It will be a quick shot because we have the opportunity. We are moderating for the city of Boston, the Black Employee Network. We are moderating a panel for them tomorrow for their Black History Month celebration. So you see, y'all get y'all a little extra hour tonight. Well, plus y'all get an hour and a half because it's 9:10. But tomorrow morning, you're only going to get a half an hour so I can get down to where I need to be for this celebration. All right, y'all. Have a great day. I love you too, Ma. My mother, 53 years old, and I still, Anthony Antonio Stroud. If that's who I think it is, and you out there doing what you're doing, I'm glad you found that space, bro. Thrive and do, excel, and you did that for you. And if it's who I think it is, yeah. All right. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Peace, everybody.